In an unexpected and bizarre development that has sparked global curiosity, Burkina Faso's leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has reportedly overseen the release of nearly 1 million rabbits into a desert region. While the story at first glance seems almost unbelievable, some even calling it a publicity stunt or misinformation, the deeper context reveals a strategy with layers of political, ecological, and symbolic meaning that could reshape perceptions of leadership in West Africa. To understand why Ibrahim Traoré would undertake such an unusual act, we must first look at the challenges facing Burkina Faso and the Sahel region. The country is plagued by food insecurity, desertification, and persistent militant violence. Resources are stretched thin, and communities often rely on international aid to survive. Against this backdrop, every initiative taken by the government is scrutinized for both practical impact and symbolic value. So, why rabbits? At first, reports suggested this was part of a reforestation and desert reclamation strategy. Rabbits are known for their rapid reproduction and ability to adapt in harsh climates. However, experts immediately raised concerns. Rabbits are infamous for overgrazing and causing ecological damage if populations spiral out of control. The idea of releasing such a massive number of them into a fragile desert ecosystem sparked alarm among environmentalists. Government sources, however, have explained that the release is not a random act of chaos but a carefully calculated ecological and agricultural experiment. According to officials close to Traoré, the plan is twofold. First, rabbits are meant to provide a renewable source of protein for communities living on the edge of famine. By populating the desert fringes, rabbits can be hunted and domesticated by local families, reducing dependence on expensive livestock imports. Second, in controlled environments, rabbit manure is highly effective as natural fertilizer, which can improve soil fertility in areas suffering from desert creep. But this narrative only tells part of the story. Observers also point to the deeply symbolic nature of the move. Traoré has built an image as a revolutionary leader, positioning himself against Western influence and in favor of African sovereignty. By choosing rabbits, a species known for resilience, multiplication, and survival in difficult conditions, he may be sending a message: Burkina Faso will not be starved or subdued, but will multiply its strength and reclaim its destiny, even in the harshest of deserts. Still, not everyone is convinced. International analysts have questioned whether this initiative might backfire spectacularly. Rabbits, if left unchecked, can devastate local plant life, triggering erosion and worsening desertification. The Australian example is often cited, where the introduction of rabbits in the 19th century led to an ecological disaster that persists to this day. Critics fear Traoré's decision could inadvertently mirror that catastrophe in Africa. Inside Burkina Faso, reactions are mixed. Some rural communities welcome the idea, seeing rabbits as a cheap and accessible food source that can be bred quickly. Others are skeptical, worrying about the ecological consequences and the strain it may place on already fragile ecosystems. Farmers, in particular, fear that without fencing or management, rabbits could devastate crops and worsen food insecurity instead of solving it. Meanwhile, political analysts believe this move may have a strategic undertone linked to Traoré's ongoing battle for legitimacy. Since taking power in a coup in 2022, Traoré has positioned himself as a bold, unconventional leader, often challenging traditional norms. By orchestrating something as dramatic as releasing 1 million rabbits, he captures global media attention, reinforcing his image as unpredictable, innovative, and willing to take risks where others hesitate. On social media, the story has gone viral. Memes portraying Traoré and his 1 million rabbits have circulated widely, with some users jokingly calling it the bunny revolution. Others, however, have taken a more serious view, questioning whether Burkina Faso is becoming a testing ground for strange experiments at the expense of its struggling population. The online buzz has inadvertently given Traoré's administration a global spotlight, which may have been part of the calculation all along. International environmental organizations are now pressing Burkina Faso for clarification. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization has reportedly requested details of the plan, emphasizing the risks of invasive species and uncontrolled ecological changes. Neighboring countries, too, are watching closely, concerned that the rabbit population could spread across borders, creating regional challenges. Yet, some ecologists argue that if properly managed, the initiative could have merit. Rabbits reproduce quickly, which makes them an abundant food source. In carefully fenced or controlled areas, they could indeed help combat hunger while providing fertilizer for crops. If this is part of a larger program involving ecological management, veterinary supervision, and food distribution, then Traoré's rabbit release may be less chaotic than it appears. The question then becomes, was the million rabbits figure literal or exaggerated? Some local reports suggest the actual number was much lower, possibly only in the thousands, but inflated through political rhetoric and media amplification. If so, then this event might be as much about perception as reality. By presenting it as a massive and bold initiative, Traoré may be using symbolism to inspire confidence at home while projecting defiance abroad. Historically, leaders have often used animals to symbolize strength, prosperity, or renewal. In this sense, Traoré's rabbits could be viewed not just as livestock, but as political metaphors. Rabbits multiply, survive against the odds, and turn barren spaces into areas of activity. This aligns neatly with Traoré's vision of Burkina Faso rising from instability to strength, multiplying its resilience in the face of adversity. In the weeks ahead, the true impact of this decision will become clearer. If communities are able to harness the rabbits as a sustainable food and agricultural resource, it could be hailed as a bold, innovative solution to hunger in the Sahel. If, however, the ecological risks spiral out of control, the rabbit release could become a cautionary tale of well-intentioned but disastrous policymaking. For now, the world is left both bewildered and intrigued. Why would a leader in one of the most fragile regions on Earth release 1 million rabbits into the desert? The answer lies somewhere between necessity, symbolism, and spectacle. Whether this gamble pays off or unleashes an ecological nightmare remains to be seen. One thing is certain. Ibrahim Traoré has once again captured international attention, and in doing so, has reminded the world that even the most unlikely acts can carry deep political meaning.